What's up, everyone? I've got 5 undefeated NFL trends for you for this week's games. They are a combined 38-0, and we are going to get right to them. And as always, I will start by saying please never make a bet based on any single trend. If you use trends as part of your handicapping process, the best way to use them, in my opinion, is to weigh out all of what you feel are the relevant trends on a game and then see if they weigh out more heavily on one side or the other. So for trend number one, we're going to look at the New York Giants this season when they're a dog, when they're an underdog. Pretty simple, and that's how I like these trends to be. You can see that the over-under is 0-7, no overs, 7 unders. These games stayed under by an average of a little more than 10.5 points per game. Love the double-digit margin on the unders. There was even an overtime game last week against the Jets. And you can see that this is active this Sunday when the Giants visit the Raiders. Now, this is showing the Giants as plus 1.5. So again, you always have to make sure that the Giants, in this case, stay an underdog in this game. If this game goes to pick 'em or the Giants go to favorite, then this trend will not be relevant. So let's go right into trend number 2. And guys, if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and also hit the bell for notifications. I would greatly appreciate it. For trend number 2, we're going to look at the Atlanta Falcons. And we're going to go back to the 2021 season when they are at home and their previous opponent's conference does not equal their conference. So in other words, it is a non-conference game. So previous opponent conference, the exclamation point before the equal sign turns that into not equals. And so it does not equal the conference of the reference team, which in this case is the Falcons. We'll hit the SDQL button. And you can see that the Falcons are 0-7 against the spread. Not real thrilled about the margin here. The average line is basically a pick 'em, and they lost by almost 4.5 points per game on average and lost to the spread by about 4.6 points per game. So I'm not thrilled with the margin here. This trend is active on Sunday when the Falcons host the Vikings. Honestly, I had a hard time finding trends for the NFL for this week that were undefeated and weren't so convoluted because, as you know, if you watched many of my videos, I like these trends to be pretty simple. So once we get past the team and the date or the season, I don't usually like there to be more than 2 or 3 more parameters beyond that. Now, I'm sure if I dug a little deeper, I could go 5, 6 parameters deep and find some other undefeated trends that are active for this week. But it just turns into a fishing expedition where we're just trying working overtime to find trends that are undefeated just so we have undefeated trends. And that's not the point of this. The simpler the trend is, the less parameters it has, the better, in my opinion. And with these football teams playing one game a week, it's not like, we don't like to go back more than a couple seasons. So if you start to add, 5, 6 parameters to a trend, you're going to have to go back quite a few years to have a sample size that's worth even talking about. So I would rather have a trend that has only 2 or 3 parameters and is undefeated and only goes back a couple of years rather than have a trend that's got 5 or 6 parameters and might be, 15-0, but goes back like 10 years, because really there's little relevance to that as far as I'm concerned, because how many teams have the same core group of players and coaches that they had 10 years ago? So that's why I prefer to do it this way. So with that little lesson in the rear view, let's go to trend number 3. And guys, if you haven't already, please hit that thumbs up to like this video. For trend number 3, we're going to look at the Baltimore Ravens. We're going to go back to last year. We're going to look at them when they are a favorite of more than 3.5, but less than 9.5. And we'll hit the SDQL button. And you can see the over-under here is 0-8, no overs, 8 unders. These games stayed under by an average of exactly 8 points per game, and that's even with an overtime game sprinkled in from earlier this season. You can see this trend was active 3 times this season already, under cashed all 3 times. And you can see that this is active on Sunday when the Ravens host the Seahawks. So let's move into trend number 4. And guys, if you have any situational stuff that you'd like me to look up in the database for this weekend's games, drop that in the comments and I'll get to it when I can. If you found any trends that are active for this weekend's NFL games, drop those in the comments. We would all love to see them. For trend number 4, we're going to look at the Bengals. We're going to go back to the 2021 season. We're only going to look at regular season games. We're going to look at them when they are against an opponent that is averaging 27 or more points per game on the season. So opponent's average and then their average points greater than or equal to 27 on the season. We'll hit the SDQL button. And you can see that despite being an average underdog of about +2, the Bengals are 6-1 straight up, 7-0 against the spread, covering the spread by more than 10 points per game on average. And you can see this is active on Sunday when the Bengals host the Bills. And that brings us to the 5th and final trend for this week. And guys, don't forget my NBA trend report should be coming on Monday starting next week on this channel, with me doing college football on Wednesday and the NFL on Thursday. I'm going to definitely do an NBA trend report on Monday, Tuesday, Friday. I'm not sure if I will do them on Wednesday and Thursday since I'm already doing the football videos. I'll have to do it on a, play it as I go kind of basis. So for this 5th and final trend for this week, we're going to look at the Titans. We're going to go back to the 2021 season when they're coming off a win. So previous game was a win, and that previous margin was less than or equal to 6. So that previous game win was by 6 points or less. We'll hit the SDQL button, and you can see that the over-under is 0-9, no overs, 9 unders. These games stayed under by 10 2/3 points per game on average. You can see the average score for these games was Titans 21 and their opponents 14.8. And you can see that this is active tonight. I'm recording this on Thursday morning, so if you watch this in time, this trend is active for the Thursday night game as the Titans visit the Steelers. And that is going to wrap up this week's edition of my NFL Trend Report. Again, if you've got any trends you want me to look up, drop them in the comments. Any you found, drop them in the comments. Check out dbbets.com this weekend. I'm off a big 4-1 football weekend. Cashed both of my 5% max bets. Got another big weekend lined up. My college football plays will be out later today. The NFL plays will likely be out tomorrow at the latest. And looking for another big winning weekend there as well. And I will close, as I always do, by saying best of luck on all of your wagers today.